Hey, yo, welcome back to the Boston Sports Brothers podcast. Great to have Morey Hershgordon of WHDH with us this evening, sports director over there, formerly with WPRI. So he's been on your TV screen for many, many years here in New England. And we also got J-Mac, Kraz, and Gabe on your screen right now, or in your ears. Fellas, how are you tonight? Good to see everyone.
Doing
Hey,
well on a
happy
beautiful
Mondays,
evening.
everybody.
How's it
All right.
going?
Maury, live in the newsroom. How you doing? Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, we're back for round two here. And I guess this camera angle on this shot was acceptable the last time. So we're going to continue to
Oh,
rock with it here
100%.
the second time.
You just leave it there for us, and whenever we need you, we'll put the bat signal up.
Perfect.
All right. Love it. So we got a lot going on with our local nine here. The baseball team, Kraz, coming off a pretty successful weekend out in the Bronx. Not too much chatter from Erky, which is always a good thing. And Morey Erky is a friend of ours who's a New Yorker. He's been on the show before. He likes to talk his shit here and there. Um,
Yep.
and so we're gonna start here. Kraz, set the table. Red Sox wise, things that are going on. Your takeaways from this weekend and currently in a game here against Baltimore as we're recording, and what we're looking at as we head into September baseball.
Yeah, I mean, I texted Gabe, I texted Josh about it, and we we got what we asked for. We wanted meaningful games at the end of August into September where they would mean something, and you're on the edge of your seat, and you're like, every pitch matters, and that's what we have. For the longest time, I really thought Devers would be a great fit here. Ultimately, I was completely incorrect with that. Looking back at it, it looks like it was a completely rushed decision with Bogarts and then Mookie leaving and just the fan base kind of going nuts with them not spending it all. But what they've done over the past 4 or 5 years to get to where they are right now is looking back at it now, it's really impressive. I mean, they're since we last aired, they were 11 games over 500. They still are 11 games over 500. We do hold the number one wild card spot. We're 5 games behind Toronto. The good thing about where we are in the standings, though, is with the Yankees and the Mariners both holding that second and third spot respectively, we own the season series. So any type of those three at the end, we're coming out with home field advantage, which is huge. Again, like you said, a complete thrashing of the Yankees this weekend. I could have told you that they were going to drop game four with Dustin May. Any betting person could have told you that one. But again, we're still in the top 10 in power rankings. We haven't seen this in years with the Red Sox. So I mean, for me, it's amazing. Roman Anthony, someone on the show said his ceiling as far as low is perennial all-star and high is face of the MLB. And that's just, the more we watch him to bat, the more that we see it. So I just want to hear everyone else's opinions on it because I could go on for days about where they were 5 years ago to where they are now.
Yeah, Maury, jump in, and we'll get J Matt and Gabe's takes on the Sox.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, if touch on what Sam spoke there, I think the Rafael Devers trade, ultimately, if they reinvest the money, I think will be a positive. It's obviously been a positive in the short term. These guys have really rallied around each other. I was actually in favor of it from the jump. As a guy who's been around the team now for 7, 8 years, obviously an incredible talent. I just never felt like from the outside looking in and from an unbiased perspective as a media member that the fan base was truly there for him and that he was truly there for the fan base. Like this was just a guy who was cashing his paycheck and wanted to let his talent show. And I think that's fine a lot of the time. But when you're the highest paid guy in franchise history, you know, there's got to be a little bit more of a connection there with the fan base. You got to do a little bit more in the clubhouse. You got to do a little bit more in the community. We can talk about how Craig Breslow managed, that trade and the communication aspect of it, which wasn't great from jump, which is probably why they ended up dealing him in June. But I think the decision to move off of him was actually okay. And it was clearly addition by subtraction. This team has taken off since then. Yes, they went out and they weren't great on the West Coast right after they traded him. They were good in Seattle and then kind of scuffled there against the Giants and the Angels. But I mean, since then, they've been the second best team in baseball record wise behind the Brewers, who are having a historic season. So this is really the team that I think a lot of people expected to be from the beginning of April, really, right? This was the team that a lot of people had 90 plus wins. You got a front end of the rotation piece, a Cy Young candidate and Garrett Crochet. You're going to hit the ball. You're going to use your platoons. Your bullpen, is revamped. And that's really what's taken off. And I think what was even great about this weekend to bring it back Like the Red Sox had played so well until that 4-8 slide, and then you cough up the game against Miami, you cough up the game against Baltimore, which they tried to hand to you 3, 4 different times throughout that night. And you were going into New York having lost three straight. The Yankees, who scuffled out of the All-Star break after they had acquired all of those guys, Super Pen, throw whatever you want out there, they had won five straight coming in, and they had won that crazy game in Tampa Bay the night prior on Wednesday, when the Sox had the night off. So it was like, man, these two teams are going in opposite directions, and then the Sox and Yankees totally reverse course again, right? The Sox pick it back up. It's like, oh, who cares about that 4-8 slide? They just took 3 out of 4 against the Yankees. They're back in that fourth spot in the wild card. They still have an outside shot at the division. Their frontline pitching looks great. Brian Bayo, head to head against Max Fried for the second straight time, is a better pitcher in those two games than the Yankees high price free agent signing, who's older than Garrett Crochet and is making more money. So it's like the Sox right now, I mean, with the way that Brian Bayo's pitching, especially potentially forecasting a Red Sox Yankees wild card series, because that's how the standings are right now with the 4-5. Like you've got to feel so confident right now in Crochet Bayo that like that's going to get you through any wild card series. And two of the first 5 games in any division series, with then maybe Crochet coming back for a game 5. So you've got like 3 out of those 5 covered. I mean, this is a team right now that, all right, maybe if they did a little bit better at the deadline, you'd be thinking ALCS, World Series or bust, because the AL is so wide open. The AL is so wide open, this team can still win a couple of rounds and can still get to a championship series like in 2021. And finally, for the first time in 3 or 4 years, you really feel like the arrow is pointing up. The last couple of years, we've had meaningful games this time of year, but it was still, hey, they're 4 or 5 games back of the last wild card spot. Are they really in it? Sure, they're hanging. Mathematically, they're in it. No, this time they're squarely in it. They're still playing for the division. They're playing for home field for playoff baseball. And honestly, if the Patriots start off slow, you might forget about them for a little bit because we might be preoccupied with the Sox.
Wouldn't be the worst thing. We've seen it before. J-Mac, Gabe, jump in.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, Maury. This team is really exciting, and it's different than the past few years, as Sam said too. There's a different vibe. I do think that the sky is the limit with the AL being so down that, I mean, this team could go to the ALCS and they could make a run. I saw a stat that they need to turn this around if they really want to make it that far. Is they have to win their one run games, and that's what the playoffs is going to be. And I think if they won, I think 5 or 6 more of these one run games that they've lost, they'd be probably right 1 or 2 games behind the Blue Jays for the division. So I don't think it's out of the question that they could make a run to the LCS or even further. I just think they have to clean up a few mistakes, which they have been. They've been playing some great baseball, and I think they have to win these close games. So that's the thing I really want to see in the last month in a week, is them winning the 1 run, 2 run games and not relying on these 7-2, 12-2 games that they just put up against the Yankees, because that's just not going to happen in playoff baseball, because every pitch counts. It's just everything tightens up, as we know. So they really just have to get those 1 run games, play solid defense, which they have been. And I think the sky's the limit. You have Crochet, you have the Cy Young candidate. So you really can't ask for much more. I'm really high on this team right now. I've been watching a lot of their games, and I watched the game on Saturday with Sam, the 1 o'clock game, and it was just a gem. Like it's 10K game for Crochet. You love to see it. So stay the course, and the division's not out of the question. If they can steal a couple from the Blue Jays and go on a little late run here, again, let's see what happens.
Gabe, you were pumped for this New York series. You've been commenting show after show how being in the running with the Yankees has been what's keeping your interest. So how you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good about the Sox. They like Morey said, he really summarized what's been going on lately, really spectacularly. One thing that I am thinking about is the trade going back to the trade deadline, and it's like we're at the Red Sox are at this point right now where they're gonna make the playoffs most likely, and to compete with an NL team, I think they could have done a little bit more at the trade deadline. Looking back now, it's looking, what was that pitcher's name from the Twins? Joe Ryan, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
It sounds like they wanted Duran in the deal. Duran hasn't really been doing much since the All-Star break, so it's like you kind of like look back and you're like, oh, they could have had a really nice pitcher there, and I don't think they would have missed Duran too much. I mean, you see him kind of spouting off again to people in the stands, and you don't really know where his head is mentally right now. So I think having Joe Ryan would be huge for this team. I think that would have made them World Series contenders, which is kind of crazy to say, but yeah, that's just one thing that kind of grinds my bone a little bit here is, for lack of better terms, it's just like if they, I don't know, because like Morris said as well, Bayo has come on really strong. So if you go Crochet to Joe Ryan to Bayo, like you're looking pretty damn good in the playoffs. So that's my
Giolito.
one gripe with this team right now. But seeing them crush the Yankees is amazing. I fucking hate the Yankees, so that was beautiful to see.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I think you guys have all done a great job talking about sort of where we're at and summarizing there, as Gabe said. The trades are the trades. I think that's the one thing that you're going to look back at this season, or the two big things are Devers trade and the return on that, and how does that pan out? And it's hard to evaluate that in a year, but if they were going to trade him, could they have waited? Could that have resulted in a pitcher like Joe Ryan, Gabe, in a move and selling off a piece like that to bring in a high end arm? The one thing that worries me in the two things that worries me as they go into the playoffs potentially is just the pitching in general. Do they have enough to get through these series and get through the run of what the playoffs is going to be? You have three starters I think you can really rely on, but after that, it's sort of where are we going? In the bullpen, how many times are you going to be able to trot out Whitlock and Chapman, without exhausting them to the point of, having to go to other arms. So other guys are going to have to step up for the Sox here. I think Roman Anthony's been incredible. The home run that he hit and the bat flip and like the flare to that
F
was
you.
It's almost
so,
like must see TV at this point. Like
yeah,
it's
and
he's that exciting.
him and Crochet when he's on the bump are must see TV. I mean, it's so nice to see a guy get up there every fifth day and just shove it, especially down the Yankees' throats. I mean, at this point, he's got to be the front runner for the Cy Young Award.
Scoobell, but still.
It's close.
It is
It's
close.
It's a good race.
Scooble's pretty damn good. All right, I think one other thing that you do have to give them credit for,
Yes.
bring in Nathaniel Lowe has been
Yeah.
a very, very good move. Shores up the defense at first base, and he's had some clutch hits up at the plate over the last
Thank
couple
you,
series.
Texas and Washington.
For real. So, Kraz, anything you want to wrap up the Sox on? Anything we missed in terms of our Sox discussion?
No, I mean, other than the fact that, someone mentioned the return on Devers and what that's going to look like, and we talked about moving a lot of that money, mostly $350 million worth of money, and being able to spend that. So I don't think the return is going to be players in this trade. I think the return is going to be building this team for the future. I think it's going to be a little bit different. And Maury, I really wanted to get your opinion quickly because you don't just move $350 million within a week. That just doesn't happen. So my whole thought was that they had these talks from the get-go, and I think it just kind of reached a boiling point, and they were ready for a third baseman. We were ready to deal it over. It had been in the talks before, and they just kind of pulled the trigger. Do you know any more about that trade, or just it kind of just happened and you just were reporting on it?
Well, from everything that it seems like went on, they weren't happy with the guy in the clubhouse. Especially when they said, "Hey, you're going to put your mid away." They wanted Alex Bregman, who was a clear defensive upgrade. They knew Christian Campbell was starting on the opening day roster. He was the opening day second baseman. You knew guys like Marcelo Meyer, Roman Anthony were coming up in short order. And you just didn't want him to be around those young guys and potentially have some of that, some of his attitude, I guess, so to speak, kind of rub off on those young guys. And like this was a jolly, happy-go-lucky kid. He loved playing the game. But again, like I mentioned, you get that much money, you're the highest paid guy in franchise history. There's a little bit more that comes with it. There's a little more responsibility outside of those white lines. The one thing I will say is looking forward now, they have all that money off the books. And hopefully they go reinvest it in the offseason. Craig Breslow hasn't been good at the trade deadline now, two deadlines in a row. But what has he been good at? The offseason,
Signing.
whether it's trading for guys like Crochet, and then extending him. Justin Wilson's been a great deal, even though he was only $2 million and he's older, and it looks like maybe he's getting closer to the end now. Like, still a really good first half. He got Aroldis Chapman, who's been the best closer in baseball. He traded for Narvaez. Like, this guy can cook in the offseason, maybe when there's a little less pressure. Still a young, new chief baseball officer, not like Dave Dombrowski, who'd been in the game for 3, 4 decades and who knew what it was all about at the trade deadline and how to get deals done across the goal line. But now that money's off the books with Devers, you've got Roman Anthony, Christian Campbell, Cedon Rafaela, Brian Bayo, Garrett Crochet, all locked up for the next like 5, 6 years. And I think it's something in the $50 to $60 million range for all those guys for the next couple of years, because it's all like $7, $8 million contracts. Roman's going to make like 2, then 4, then 6, then $8 million. His money is backloaded. So now, not only do they have a strong core going forward for the near term, now they just offloaded all this money, which was, I think, the main objective of the deal was, we'll take back worse players and worse prospects in order to get all the money off the books. Now we can go sign another high-end reliever out of the bullpen, a number 2, number 3 arm. We hope Brian Bayo continues. We've got this guy Peyton Tolley who we like. Like, now you're really starting to see it blossom. So, obviously the fan base was shocked when the deal happened, but I think going forward, Craig Breslow said the quote was that night or right after they made that trade along with Sam Kennedy, he said he feels like the Sox can win more games than they otherwise would have with Devers. And so far, that's been the case. So, whether he actually believed that it would happen or not is a different story. But, the Sox have backed him up, and they've done it against a really tough schedule, right? Like the 4 against the Rays right before the break, that was the playoff team. Coming out of the break, the Astros twice, the Cubs, the Dodgers, the Phillies. You just went to on the road to New York. The Red Sox have the 5th best record or 6th best record in baseball against teams above 500. Well, who do you play in the postseason? Teams above 500. Now, the home record has been better than the road record, but if this past weekend was any indication of being in the Bronx, this team's fine going into enemy territory. So, again, I'm really bullish on the Sox, not only this year, but also going forward, especially in the short term, if they can add another piece or two with the young core they have.
I mean,
Morey, I also
on.
find
Go
it.
ahead.
I also find it interesting that San Francisco, when they acquired Devers, they were above 500, playing pretty good baseball, and now they're 5 games under, and they're sliding. They're second to last in their division. So, have fun with Devers and that baggage. So that ship him out west, and it worked out.
It's tough, and it's tough. Like, Devers is going to be really good next year if you play fantasy baseball. He's a guy you still want. New park. He's a guy who just moved across the country. He's living out of a hotel room. He's facing different pitchers in a different league, new teammates. The Giants. It's not because they got Rafael Devers did they tank and all of that baggage. They play in the best division in baseball. Like, the Padres and the Dodgers are serious teams, and the Diamondbacks, I know their record isn't great, still have good arms. We're in the World Series, have really good guys in their lineup, and they don't strike out a lot, so they put the ball in play. So it's a really tough division, and it just hasn't gone their way. But certainly at least the early returns have looked really positive for the Sox.
Yeah, as J Matt mentioned, Giants 41-31 prior to the Devers trade, 21-36 since.
Wow.
So unbelievable. Who knows what sort of
bueno.
impact he's had on that locker room and what that did to the Giants. But one thing's for sure, the Red Sox have certainly taken off since the trade. In the playoff hunt, September baseball is upon us, boys. And what's also upon us in September is the start of NFL season. We're going to transition now to the Patriots and everything going on with them. They wrap up the preseason, get absolutely thrashed by the Giants, but it really wasn't a real game, to be honest. So let's do this. J-Matt set the table in terms of just overall preseason training camp takeaways, things as we head into week 1. And we're going to do our week 1 preview against the Vegas Raiders coming up on September 7th today, a 1 p.m. game at Gillette. We're off next week. It's Labor Day. We also got a big birthday for Gabe next week, so a happy early birthday to him.
Thank you.
So no show next week, but then we'll be back with Mike Kadlick of CLNS Media to recap week 1 with him. But we're going to start right now. J-Matt set the table on all things Patriots. Morey, we'll have you jump in with your thoughts and go around the horn like we just did.
Yeah, so expectations are they're high. I think they should be high just because of the operation that we've built. My overall take on the season is that I still think they have a lot to build towards. I don't think that you can just flip a switch and go from being such shit for 2 to 3 years in a row to just being a 10-11 win team. I think that would be incredible. I would love that, but I think realistically, I think I think even like 6 to 7 wins would be pretty good. I'm not looking for. I'm just trying to be realistic right here and just have expectations that are not too crazy. The preseason is the preseason. Like I was not on the episode last week, and I watched and I heard what you guys were talking about. Like I think they do kind of get a lot more out of the joint practices, especially when you have nobody playing in the preseason. They got rid of a preseason game for that matter, for that reason. Like they clearly don't think that they're valuable if they get rid of one. So I still think that the week one is going to be an extension of the preseason. It was last year. That's how the Pats got their first win. So again, like there's not the preseason. It is what it is. I don't think you can really get a lot out of the whole last month or two. But I think the cuts are going to be interesting. They have to get down to 53 men tomorrow by 4 p.m., which is Tuesday. So Morey, I'm curious on your take on that. I think Duggar is potentially on the block, trading block. If not, they don't trade him. They're probably going to kind of cut him. I want your take on that. I also want your take on like Cole Strange and Bourne and just overall take on the whole preseason.
Yeah, so I think Kyle Duggar, it's tough. It's like 5 days ago, I think Andrew Callahan came out with it that the Patriots were looking to shop Kyle Duggar. And then last night, Sunday night, Ian Rappaport put something out like, oh, the Patriots are trying to trade Kyle Duggar. Like he's looked good in the preseason. He played the whole game against the Giants, like had an interception. Like that was against like twos and threes.
Yeah.
I think because they didn't have any suitors to trade Kyle Duggar to 5 days ago, the team then went from the local media to the national media to try to get it back out there. I think it's going to be really hard to trade him. Obviously coming off ankle surgery, clearly it's a different system. He's not a Vrabel guy, much like many of the veterans that are now gone, the John Jones, the Dietrich Wise, Joe Cardona. Like that's what Mike Vrabel said from the jump. He's like, I want to rid entitlement of this locker room. I think he's gone regardless, via cut or trade. Don't expect much back in a trade, especially if the Patriots can try to get most, if not all, of that money off the books. They might have to eat some, maybe eat more to get a better pick back. It's going to be a day 3 pick regardless. It's going to be a, fourth. I'd be shocked if they ate a lot of money. It'd be 5 or 6, but a 7th round pick potentially as well. As far as Cole Strange, I think his days in Foxborough are numbered. Unfortunately, just drafted way too high, and the expectation of a first round pick, that bar was set super high, so he never got even close to meeting those expectations.
That
If
clip
he's
of Sean McVay at the
exactly.
draft when they just literally laughed in Belichick's face, being like, "Fuck, we thought that was a day 3 pick."
Right. And if he's a 3rd or 4th round pick, well, then hang in here for 4 years. Okay, they got 3rd and 4th rounders last year, and Lane Robinson and Caden Wallace, who they drafted, who won't even be on the team a year after they were drafted, going in for year 2. So Cole Strange hangs around, but just because he was drafted so high, it's a massive failure. And then obviously for Kendrick Bourne, he could be a surprise cut by tomorrow, I think. However, if he does stay, I think it's based out of loyalty because he had a good year with Josh McDaniels in 21. He's got some familiarity. Maybe there's another injury that pops up that's unforeseen. But for right now, like the wide receiver room is Diggs, Douglas, Collins, Kayshawn Boutte, Efton Chisholm, and I'm missing somebody because I always miss somebody when I no, I think J-Mo Baker's gone. Unless he makes the team as a special teamer, as a gunner, because he's looked pretty good there late in the preseason. But on offense, he hasn't really moved the needle. I'm missing somebody. But I think they keep 6 wide receivers. Maybe Kendrick Bourne's the 7th. But I hit on all the players, right, Josh, that you wanted. As far as the team, I think nationally everyone's like, oh, McDaniels is back and Vrabel's in, and they have this, 3rd overall pick in the quarterback in Drake May, who's got some talent, and they bring in Steph Diggs, and they spend some money on the defensive line and defensive personnel in general. They use some draft capital on the offensive line. Like they should be better. And a lot of people, Colin Cowherd, I think, had him as a playoff team as the 7th seed, and I think they've got a shot. But I think that's like the ultimate ceiling is like getting in as the 6th or the 7th seed. Locally, I think people are really starting to understand that this team is, severely, flawed in terms of depth. They've their ones can run with guys, but as you know, in a football season, you need 2s, and sometimes you need a 3rd stringer every once in a while to pop in at certain positions. So I have them as like an 8-9 win team. I don't think the schedule early is as easy as everybody talks about. Pete Carroll's going to want his guys ready to go. Geno Smith's been around the block. I think that first game could be like a Mac Jones rookie year, week one against the Dolphins, 17-16, 19-16 type game. Do the Patriots come out on top? Could Mike Vrabel be the difference? Maybe. We'll see. I like the dog coming in for a little Pats talk here. Um, and then going to Miami is always tough. I think Drake's the better quarterback than Tua at the end of the year. I don't know right away though if Drake as his second week as the full-time starter in year two is better. Um, Rodgers and Tomlin still should be okay early on. The wheels probably haven't fallen off there in Pittsburgh quite yet. And Carolina's plucky. Like, if they're 2-2 going to Buffalo for Sunday Night Football, I think that's a win. 3-1, I'd be shocked. Obviously, would be thrilled. But the soft part of that schedule, I think, is really where the Patriots are going to make their hay. I think they're going to get to like a 7-5, 8-5 type record around Thanksgiving. And you'll have, it's going to potentially be a similar season like the Red Sox. Start off slow. There might be a little panic here or there. It's going to take time for Drake May to get better. It's his third new offensive coordinator in a row from college to last year to this year. And it's going to take time. And the other one thing that I want to bring up that I think is a really underrated part of the season is a week 14 bye again. This is a team and it's a quarterback and it's a unit that needed like a week 7, week 8 bye, or even honestly like a week 5. Hey, let's just take the first month. Let's go all out for those 4 games. Let's try to be like 2-2, 2-3, 3-1-ish. And then let's watch all of those games back, reassess, and then hopefully that springboards you. They're not going to have a chance to breathe until week 14, which hopefully isn't too late. Hopefully it's not game after game after game, and you can't really take stock of your season. You're really just in game prep mode, until I think it's November they have the bye. So I think that's something that would have really benefited this team. But Mike Vrabel knows what he's doing. NFL Coach of the Year. He's gonna make a difference. I think this defense is going to be pretty good. Hopefully they can pick up a guy or two off waivers. Maybe they make a trade coming up. But this team, their ones are good. Man, if they get an injury anywhere, defensive line, offensive line, wide receiver, you start to plug the holes and you start to move guys around, and they're going to have some serious holes out there that other teams are going to exploit.
And more to your point, I think you have to blame Mayo and Belichick in the front office, because the drafting of like the Jalen Polks, the City Sows, the Cole Stranges, the Sony Michels, like those are just wasted draft picks that could be 2s and 3s and linebackers and cornerbacks, and not these, and these other linemen. And that's what you really have to be pissed about as a fan, is this crappy drafting. And I think hopefully that might change this year with potentially what they've done. But there's no guarantees on that. So you really have to look back at the last 3 years, and it's unfortunate. But again, they might be righting the ship. Hopefully this is the first year of that.
Drake May could be the only player from the 2024 draft to be on the 53-man roster. The only player,
awful,
crazy.
13 months later, 14 months later.
J-Matt, to your point, like, how embarrassing is it for Elliott Wolf and Matt Grohl to walk in that building every day with all the drafts that they've been a part of, and now with the cuts coming up, it's like Morey just said, Drake May is going to be the only player to make the roster this year, and it's just like, I mean, it's just so many years of just not doing the right thing, and it's catching up to them. And I think I'm glad we've all tempered our expectations for this year. I think at first we were all really excited, but one thing the preseason does teach you is the depth of your organization. And this team, it definitely has a depth issue right now. And if you get a great player like Diggs, or God forbid Drake May goes down, like, what are we looking at here? Like, it's you're one scary injury away from kind of being a basement dweller again.
Kraz, any preseason thoughts? And then we'll turn our attention to the Vegas game and sort of what we're looking at for the season.
No, I mean, everyone kind of hit all the points pretty perfectly. Maury was kind of talking about the schedule and how it's kind of, the first 4 games are kind of up in the air with Pete Carroll and the Raiders. And then obviously you have, what's it called? I'm losing track here. But anyways, no, I'm good.
All right. Sounds good. In terms of the Pats, I think, this season, as they look ahead, that they as Morey said, get into, a couple wins here early in the season, and they can't be fake wins, like they were against the Bengals and the after sex glow that we had. Has got to be a little bit better than what we experienced last year.
How does that Gatorade bath look now?
Yeah, for real. I mean, shout out Jerry Thornton. He said that was the highlight of his entire season last year. So that's any indication. Look, this team, same thing, needs to be in the hunt, playing meaningful games November into December. And I think with the coaching staff that they're going to be able to get more out of those players. I do agree the depth is an issue from a talent standpoint. However, I think that the staff around this team to get more out of those kinds of players is there. Nobody sitting here 2 months ago had Efton Chisholm on this roster, right? Like nobody nobody thought that Kyle Duggar was somebody that was going to get cut off of this team after the contract that he signed. And I think that's an albatross in terms of trying to get rid of him as well right now is the amount of money that he's due. But listen, going into this season for the Pats, a successful season is making the playoffs, and that's sort of the benchmark for them. If they get in there and this team as a young roster gets that experience, it's a huge win for them. It's a huge win for Vrabel. It's a huge win for Kraft. I agree that one thing that we need to discuss is who's the rat? Who's the rat? Morey, who's the rat?
Who's the rat? I don't know. We got to see who the rat is. I think he was just he clarified those comments a little bit this morning on the Greg Hill show on WEI. I think he was just a little upset, and but I think the larger point is like he has that comment. He has the comment about Phil Perry's question in Minnesota. When he asked about Stephon Diggs, will he be ready for Week 1 because of Diggs's comments that he made to Diana Rossini on her podcast. He has the snap back to Ben Volen about Volen asking a question that he had previously answered earlier in that press conference. Are you paying attention? Like he's been in this mood where I think Vrabel, now that he's under the hood, he's been with this team out on the field every day since the end of July. I think he kind of sees, oh man, we might struggle. We might not be good. We're an injury or two away from only having a 3 or a 4 win team. I think he's starting to come to terms with that now that he's more hands on with this team. Maybe that's also just his personality as well. He's a ball buster kind of guy. That's how he made his career in the NFL, at least to start. Special teams, grinded out type of guy. So we'll see. But I think all of these comments and together, as you start to kind of read the tea leaves, I think he might be nervous. Probably isn't the word, but he knows, and he even mentioned he's like, this is my first training camp. This is year 1 of it all. Like it takes years to get back to the standard, of the Patriots. And that's the reason why they're in this position right now, is because of years worth of poor drafting, years of, becoming this team where now free agents may not want to come play for you. If they get back to the playoffs, like somebody mentioned earlier, I think that's more than a successful season. I think if you are just in the mix right up into the last game, or you're 500 or you're 9-8, like then guys around the league start saying, oh, McDaniels, May, Vrabel, the defense, I want to go there and help them get over the top. If they do this on their own in 1 year, from what we watched last year and the year prior, I mean, that's a home run. Mike Vrabel will be coach of the year. Drake May will be up there in terms of offensive player of the year because he's got an offensive line still that might be bottom half of the league. Like, if they make the playoffs, they're in really good shape. They don't even, to me, have to make the playoffs for it to still be successful, depending on how it shakes out.
Yeah, I think it's more of the product on the field. What are you seeing? The situational football that was just a complete disaster last year with Mayo, and his coaching decisions were just. If there's one thing that I'm looking forward to, it's somebody that's competent on the sidelines, making the call, making the calls,
Yeah.
and pulling shit like Belichick used to. Dinking around with the clock and taking penalties and that sort of thing. So at least we have Vrabel from that standpoint. I agree though, more he is a bit of a hardo. He comes across as brash and rigid and doesn't like the nonsense. And I do think at times, the football player mentality sort of comes out of him, if you will, where it's just like, there's, let's not kid ourselves. In this region, there's high expectations given the history of this team, and to get back there. And so, they gotta have a season that's worthwhile and keeps you locked in, and don't get to December where the games are meaningless and you're trying to hope that Joe Milton doesn't do something stupid to cost you the #1 overall pick. So lots to be looking forward to. A few sort of NFL overall thoughts as we head into the season. Old friend Jacoby Myers requested a trade from the Raiders. So will he play Week 1? Is he somebody that, the Pats should potentially look at? Do you try and get Kyle Duggar out the door for him? Terry McLaurin in that situation in Washington is one to keep an eye on. Some other sort of high level NFL things. Maury, I think Aaron Rodgers is cooked. I think Pittsburgh's going to be terrible. I'm interested to see if Tua is able to make it through a whole season down in Miami.
Without getting hit.
I'm interested to see if Micah Parsons takes the field for the Cowboys, and we'll have to check in with Jeff Kolb on that. There's a lot of good storylines going into the NFL season, and it's very exciting. Week 1 coming up a week from Thursday. The Eagles take the field. I forget who they're playing, but we'll be watching that game.
The Eagles have the Cowboys.
Eagles
Dallas,
Cowboys. What a great way to
Worst
get
division.
going. What a crazy show that Netflix show is for them as well. It doesn't paint Jerry Jones in a very good light. Crazy that all these teams are doing that now. It's like Hard Knocks is a thing of the past. So lots of
I thought you were
great
talking about
things.
the cheerleader show on Netflix.
Oh, not the Cowboy cheerleaders. The other one with the Cowboys. That's
Oh, that's the one I'm
Uh,
watching. Yeah, that's a good one.
glad you're locked in, Gabe. You can get
Yeah,
us
oh,
a,
to all those people who have an issue with it. Oh my God.
I mean, we'll get a full roster report from you next
Get a
show.
life.
Definitely need a report back from Gabe on that show.
Yeah, so you have a homework assignment.
Episode by episode, yeah.
Yeah, break it down like we did Celtic City. Speaking of speaking of the Celtics, let's shift gears to them. Offseason has been a one of great change for the Celtics. However, starting to gear up. Off the court, there's some things going on that are worth mentioning. Jaylen Brown's dad has a very unfortunate situation, arrested for attempted murder, which is crazy to say.
Whoa.
I'm interested to see if that impacts Jaylen Brown at all throughout the season. I think there's already a lot of pressure on him as we head into the season, obviously, given the circumstances. Tatum continues to be out and about this offseason, bopping around, jumping around a little bit. Not quite doing the horror like we were a couple weeks ago, but he seemed to be having himself a good time at his good friend Bradley Beal's wedding. So the floor is open. We don't have Big E really on the Celtics tonight to get into the nitty gritty, but any Celtics comments, Morey, maybe just your overall offseason thoughts and as they head into the season, and if anybody else wants to chime in, we can.
Yeah, nothing earth-shattering right now. I think all the attention, is deservedly on the Red Sox and the Patriots right now. Interested to see the changes that Brad Stevens alluded to. Can Joe Mazzulla adopt a new style, especially the way that they washed out last year against the Knicks, in games 1 and games 2? Like you got to come back, a little bit. I think he went so far, the way of shooting the three and the volume and the percentage of points coming from deep, and now there's new personnel. The front court has drastically changed. You don't have your superstar. You're not on national TV as much. I mean, there's going to be a lot of changes, but I think for Celtics fans, it'll be nice because it's this, let's discover what all these different players can be without Tatum, knowing in the back of our mind, hey, if things kind of go right and all the stars align, like he could be back in March or April, for a playoff run. This team could be a 6-7 seed, and really give someone their run for their money if Tatum comes back in the
6-7.
fold.
What are your thoughts on bringing Jason Tatum back? So we've talked about it with a couple of people, and our whole thing is I mean, at least Gabe and I, who are medical people, it's like you bring him back and you put him in game situations, and it doesn't matter what the score is. Once he reaches a certain threshold, you kind of pull him off. Do you kind of have that same opinion, or do you see it a little bit differently?
I think it all depends on how this team is by the trade deadline. I think that's where you could see Anthony Simons get dealt. I think that's where you could see, other change happening. I think if this team is in the mix come the trade deadline, they'll try to keep it together. And then depending on where this team is, like that's where if you've got a shot to make a run and you've got a shot not to play in that play in, the 7, 10, 8, 9 now for the last 2 spots, like if you can really be like 4, 5, 6, which I think is going to be really tough. But if they lock themselves into like that first round bye where you still get some time off, like Tatum should play the last 8 to 10 games. He should come back and play. You never want to punt on a postseason ever. I don't care what team you are. If you get in the mix, you've got a shot. Obviously, basketball is a little bit different, more different than like hockey and baseball, where really any team who gets in could make a run. But you never want to throw something away. And I also think Tatum is of the mind of this guy loves to hoop. He loves to play. He looks really good right now. I'm not going to make any statements like 100 days in. Oh, he looks really good. He could be back in record time in February or in March. But if this team's really got a shot, he's going to want to play. Like this is a guy who's not going to want to sit there and watch the postseason with his team in it. So, then there's that balance of you're the face of the franchise. We've got to listen to you a little bit. We got to appease you a little bit, while also trying to make sure that we watch your health and know that really once we start up again 26, 27 and moving forward, you're healthy, you're okay, you're the 1A option. So it's going to be really tough to balance. It's going to be. I think their schedule looks to be fairly manageable early on. They play the Sixers 3 times, I think, in the first month.
Yeah.
Embiid might not be back at that time, so you maybe catch the Sixers at a good time. There's all things like that. You don't travel as much, you don't play as many of those, prime time games. So, I think if this team's good around the trade deadline, they could add. They might stand pat knowing they have Tatum, but it's all going to depend. I think this dude's going to play by the end of the year, unless the Celtics are so far out of it and they're a lottery team and they've dealt off pieces at the deadline. I think you're going to see Tatum suit back up because he doesn't want to miss the time. And really, honestly, we want to watch him out there again. Like it's going to be a long year. There's going to be some really good nights. They're going to look really good. Jaylen Brown's going to have like 40. You're like, oh, this guy can do it consistently. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to throughout the course of the year. And there's going to be nights you're going to rip your hair out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Go ahead, J Matt.
No, to your point, where it's like it totally makes sense. You don't punt on the season, especially if they can get themselves in a position where they're a 4 seed or like could even sneak up there. We saw last year the Pacers were in the NBA championship. So like a
Or
team like that,
the Heat a couple years ago
yeah,
were the 8 seed. They were in the play-in and they went to the NBA Finals.
100%. So it's like I do think that's changing more so like it's going to be becoming like the NHL where a team that you don't have to be a 1 or a 2 just to make it into the NBA championship. So if they're putting a good year together and Jason comes back and he looks good, like don't punt on the season. Anything's possible in the NBA now.
Couldn't agree more. I've said it. I'll say it again. I think Tatum's back in March with how he's looking, and I completely agree. Don't punt on the season if you can come back. It will be great. I think the optimism side of the Celtics season, as you wait for that to potentially happen, is who on this roster is going to step up. And this is a huge season for Derek White and Peyton Pritchard. Are they 2 players night in and night out that you can count on that are going to give you, call it 12 to 20 points a night and really make that high impact?
Well,
Interested to see how Anthony Simons comes into the team and sort of asserts himself if he is even on this team. And I think that you have to look out for the emergence of, who on this team, is one of those players, a Baylor Sharman, a Jordan Walsh, so on and so forth, Kada, that steps up to really take the mantle and potentially become a rotational player. So, Celtics season coming up. Gabe, any Celtics thoughts, or you want to lead us to the other team on Causeway?
One name that popped into my head was Al Horford. I don't think he's signed anywhere, and I don't think he's announced his retirement. Um, I would, I don't know. I just wouldn't put it past him to want to come back to the Celtics, and maybe he like comes back midway or something of that nature, and sits out a little bit, recovers, and then I don't know. I just feel like something weird is going to happen with Al Horford, and not that he's a huge difference maker per se at his age now, but still a great locker room guy, and he plays a position of need desperately right now. So that was just a random kind of thought that was in my head.
I wouldn't mind the steady hand of Al Horford being with this team, especially this year. Live,
Daddy
live,
Al.
live time update here in the Red Sox. Duran just went yard airplanes, three runs.
You heard me.
He heard
Yeah,
you.
heard
He
us
heard your
talking
shit
shit.
talk, and he said, "I'm going to put the Wally head on." Well, the Wally head's on you, Gabe, because we're at the
Oh,
point
it's
of
in
the
the
show
field.
where
I
we
couldn't even see
we
it.
talk Bruins. There he crass. This fucking grandpa. All right, exactly. Gabe, take it away on the Bruins.
Yeah,
There you go.
not obviously
there you
not
go.
much going on in Bruins land right now. There was a recent Hampus Lindholm update. He fractured his kneecap last season, only played in 17 games. He's looking like a go for the start of the season, so that's a huge addition for the Bruins on the defensive side. Again, we say it, every week, but Swayman, McAvoy, Pasternak, that's kind of your core right there, and if they're giving it their all, then the Bruins, they stand a fighting chance. I still worry about their offense and what they're going to produce there, but defense and goalie looks pretty good. So, we'll see. The judge is out on the Bruins. Looks like they're starting September 21st. That's when preseason starts, and they'll be at home against the Washington Capitals. So, it's coming. It's right around the corner now.
Sure is. All right, that's the Bruins Minute with Sir Gabe. Thank you for that, Gabe. Maury, we've reached the point of the episode where we have one lightning round question for you, and then we'll ask these together. And then so the first question is, as it comes up, and I was in the grocery store the other day, you start to walk around, you see the Halloween candy starting to poke its head out, the pumpkin flavors. So favorite fall activity that you're looking forward to doing this fall, and then anything you want to highlight in terms of stories that are coming up on the station, and certainly let folks know where to follow you on all the socials as well.
Yeah, I mean it's basic, but I think it means a little bit more now. I have a 4 month old son at home, so I think
Mazel tov.
nice. Thank you. So I think apple picking is going to be great, just to
Up in
see him
Hudson.
put a nice little gala right in his little mitt and see what he thinks about it. But yeah, my wife and I just love getting outside. We're outside people, so breweries, wineries, nice flannel and jeans. Some good college football on a Saturday because obviously Sundays are really busy up here and I work Sundays. So yeah, Saturdays are great. Looking forward to some good college football. Can't last week we got a nice little appetizer. Looking forward to a great opening slate. And yeah, I mean, hopefully it's a really busy fall for me. I don't mind working when it's fun. If the Patriots are good, we've already got our trip booked to Miami week 2, Buffalo week 5
Nice.
for Sunday night football. Maybe we've got some Red Sox postseason baseball to cover. Like I wouldn't mind working some 6 or 7 day weeks in the fall if it meant postseason and it meant a lot of victories. So personally, professionally, just looking forward to another great fall. And yeah, I mean, as far as the station goes, like we're just turning out content coverage every day. We're in Foxborough every day. We're at Fenway all the time. We'll start to get on the road with both teams as the regular season begins with the NFL, as postseason begins with the Sox. We'll have coverage nonstop, all the shows. We'll be live in the morning shows at the crack of dawn. We'll have stuff 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11 every night. And, hopefully the only thing is, when you're on all the time, it's like I get these red bumps on my neck when I shave because it's every single day. I don't ever get a break. But that's
I
a good
bet you want
thing.
a good aftershave.
Exactly. You get into this to,
Jean Paul Gaultier Lamal is the best aftershave
is
you'll
that the
ever.
best? You're gonna have to shoot me a message after this
I
because I
will.
think
I
I
will.
rock. I think
It's
I rock Harry's right now, which is it's just like the solid,
Harry.
solid.
Harry's
I'll
brand.
step up
I
your.
like
You'll
Harry's.
be like, okay, this is top line right here.
Yeah. All right, you're gonna have to let me know.
Hey,
But
every two
no, just
days.
looking for, looking forward to a good fall and yeah, guys, it was a blast to have me back on and always really enjoy it. Appreciate chopping it up with you guys.
Always,
Thanks for
always
coming on.
appreciate having you on, Maury. Always a good time. We are going to wrap up the show with a few final things now, and best of luck this fall. We'll be tuning into WHDH, and be sure to follow Maury on all the socials as well. You can find him. Just put Morey Hershgordon in there, and he'll be coming up. So, Maury, take care. Have a great broadcast tonight. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Maury.
Take care.
Take care,
See
Maury.
you,
Thanks for
Maury.
hopping on.
Thank you.
All right, Morey Hershgordon,
Great
sports
dude.
director, WHDH, great guy, great to have him on and run through all the topics with him. And I mean, who better than to have the finger on the pulse of sort of everything that's going on in Boston sports than him. So appreciate his time. Fellas, we've reached the point of the show, and I feel like I'm getting, I'm getting a little bit used to this now because Big E's had a lot on his plate with the wedding and post-wedding things. So it's time for the things we don't like, the things that are stinky, the things that just make you go. Yeah. Oh. And then we have the things that we love, the things that are stupendous, the things that make you get up out of your seat, the things that are wonderful in life. Those are the oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was such a long oh yeah that my Zoom app just asked if I'm playing music. Would you like to adjust your audio settings? No, I would not. I would like to get into the oh yeahs and the yeah ohs of the
You're
week,
such a
fellas. Who's
songbird.
got no, that I am not. I will not take credit for that. All right, fellas, let's get into it. Whoever wants to kick us off, feel free.
I'll start one. I want to start with a yeah-oh on Raja Jackson. He's the son of Quentin Rampage Jackson. I don't know if you guys saw the clips of him like viciously and I don't know what other word to use other than vicious battery on somebody.
Brutal.
There was a little bit of preface to it before this all happened. They were backstage, and the guy Sicko Stu, the wrestler, like smashed a beer can over his head. And Raja Jackson spoke with the promoter, and the promoter said, "Yeah, you can get in. You can do a double leg, which is an MMA. It's just a takedown. You just pick him up and you throw him down." What this kid did is this kid picked him up. Not only did he threw him down so hard, he knocked him the fuck out. And then after he knocked him out, he punched him in the face without gloves on like 5 or 6 times. And it was just one of the most callous, malicious things I've ever seen. I'm a huge MMA guy. I have a huge respect for that. But that's just, yeah, you don't take it to that level. You know, you should know as a professional, once someone's out like that, you stop.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
pretty ugly scene.
I saw boxers like Ryan Garcia even coming out saying like, "What are you doing, dude? Like, such a ridiculous thing to do." And he's as professional as it gets in terms of like his professional fighting career. So, just something you can't do. Big yo. But a big oh yeah is Roman Anthony and his just absolute starting to own the Yankees. I mean, that bat flip was just so, like you said, Kraz, earlier in the episode, it was just like such a big fu. It was really great to see. He's kid stepping up. He's got the vision. He's got the hits. He's got the looks. He's got everything you want. So
you're gonna throw me that pitch there? Okay, thank you.
It's first pitch. See ya.
And Meyer and Anthony both homered in their first game at Yankee Stadium. So fuck you, Yankees.
Yep. Devers who?
Exactly.
Yeah, fuck Devers.
Gabe, get us with the
I'll
next
give I'll get in here. Yeah, I'll give an oh yeah to college football coming back this coming weekend. We highlighted it last episode with Trevor Haas of Boston Globe, but if you want to hear more of that, go check out that episode. But there's just some exciting matchups. It's going to be fun to watch Boston College again, and I think also there you got the battle of the Tigers, LSU versus Clemson, who are both highly rated this year, and Texas is playing Ohio State, and it's just you got a full slate of awesome games to watch, and that's something that I would love to give it a big
we're gonna be at Texas for a big oh yeah for your bachelor party, Gabe. So that's
hell yeah.
Huge. Never been to a college football game with that atmosphere.
Less than 2 weeks, baby.
Really looking forward to that. Huge oh yeah.
Less than 2 weeks.
Buckle up.
Coming up quick, we'll be down there for that Texas game, maybe coming off a win against
ready
Ohio
to go. The last piece, baby.
He's certified to board the plane, baby.
Fucking real ID bullshit. Take my license so I can't go places. Fuck that.
All right. Well, we're happy that you've gotten your documents in line and you're good to go, which is great. I got two oh yeahs to round us out here. The other oh yeah is the fantasy football season is upon us, and excited to get the league up and running. That's a big part of the podcast and something.
All keepers in tonight.
We'll chime in with fuck me
because
my roster's fucking trash, and
you're like I don't want to keep anyone.
Literally, I might have to ask. Can I just not keep somebody? Like, is that okay? Like,
remember when Erky kept the kicker?
Justin Tucker.
Maybe I should keep my fucking kicker because
IDP.
There is no kicker anymore.
Oh, well, look at that.
We took that out.
The rules changing this goddamn league so many times every year. I don't know what's what. Just at this point, just take my money and I'm going to be 5-9, and that's what it is. So,
if you don't pick a keeper, that would be first in league history.
Well, maybe I'll make history. So,
I mean, you can technically do whatever you want. I mean,
I don't know.
Guess you'd have to ask
run
Big
it by
E,
the powers that be. So that's a whole nother.
I could give two shits if you didn't pick a keeper or not.
Majority rules.
I think I got 3 votes for yes right here. So I'm gonna have to get some back channel conversations going. But no, looking forward to that. We'll mix in a little fantasy football as we certainly head into the season. And players and do a little bit of that with our NFL talk each week. The last oh yeah of the night is a fantastic weekend at Gillette Stadium. Morgan Wallen took over for a 2-night run Friday, Saturday. Was fortunate to be there Saturday, and it was a great night for a show, but Morgan Wallen pretty recognized for his walkout onto the stage with a famous person, and that night it ended up being Gronk. And they had a Patriots guitar that Morgan Wallen threw to Gronk, and Gronk smashed the shit out of it, and it was a great way to sort of
I think Vrabel was there as well. He did it the other night.
Yeah, Vrabel did it the night before. So great show, great weekend. A guy who sounds just as good in concert as he does on the records, and great crowd. Just like couldn't have asked for a better experience. And fortunately, getting out of there after the show wasn't too bad. So it's
how many hours?
Yeah, milking the last of the summer here. As we talked about, the Halloween candy and all that stuff is out. And when football season gets going, I think everyone sort of shifts to that fall mode and mindset. So we're pumped for it. Football will be a big topic on the show each and every week as we move forward.
I got one oh yeah.
Okay,
As
toss it in.
as we're speaking Gronk, I was watching, socials, and there's a park on Sturrow Drive. You might have driven by
Yes,
it.
yes, yes.
Gronk opened up a really awesome park for the kids right on Sturrow. So good for Gronk. If you haven't seen the video, if you've never followed Matt Shearer on WBZ, he posts out some incredible content. Probably one of the funniest videos I've seen, and Gronk was really incredible, and he was a nice guy. He was on that video. So good for Gronk being out in the area still
He's
being
he's
loved
all
by
over. He was in
loved by
Cranston.
many. And he was, yeah, the what was it?
He opened up a
Chipotle or
McDonald's
something?
in Cranston
McDonald's
last
or
week.
something. Yeah. Crazy. So good to see him.
Well,
out.
Gronk,
doesn't he want
come
to?
on,
He wants to
Gronk.
retire a Patriot, I believe. So
He does. He's signing.
should.
A big oh yeah to
Hell yeah.
Gronkowski. He's signing a 1-year
he's
deal
making a
at some
stamp in the
point.
community, and it sounds like he loves it around
Come
here. So
on,
that's
Gronk.
great.
We
Well,
know
we
you're
love
on
you,
dudes
Gronk.
on dudes, but
Always
come
welcome on
on.
the pod.
come on, Gronk.
Welcome on the pod anytime.
Any day, anytime.
You're one of us, buddy. You are one of us.
I think the thing about Gronk and sort of tying back to like the Devers thing is nobody expected him to do what Gronk's done here, but to have that time, that communication to the fan base and to immerse yourself into the community, Gronk will forever be a legend in this area, not for what he did on the field, but everything he's done off the field.
For
Larger
us.
than life sort of character who's embraced that role, right? Like he's
Yep.
just completely taken that on. And I actually got to give credit to Felger and Maz. They had a good conversation about what J Matt said in the park. Like he doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to be involved the way that he is. But it's sort of part of his identity. And good on Gronk, just a great human being and somebody who will just be a legend in this area forever. So that wraps up the oh yeahs and the yeah ohs of the week. In the Pike, and with things ahead, we got the Sox in a series against Baltimore. Then they take on the Pirates. Watch out for Paul Skeens. That's appointment television. And then they got a day game on Labor Day against the Guardians. And so, as we talked about, no show next week. So we'll be back on September 8th with Mike Kadlick, as we mentioned, recapping NFL Week 1 as well as college football the first 2 weeks of the season. And going to be a loaded show when we're back on September 8th. Fellas, great to see you. Hope you have a great week ahead, great Labor Day weekend ahead. And then we all get on that plane and we'll see you in Austin, baby.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
What's
Let's go Sox.
The Red Sox
In the meantime,
celebration?
go Sox, kid. Let's go.
Go
Bring
Sox,
them
kid.
together.
Near
Go
far,
Sox.
wherever you are. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Good
Good seeing you, boys.
Later.
Peace.